Right, hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorial number 4, and this is a follow on from the first 3. So if you haven't watched the first 3, if you're not sure entirely what you're doing, then you're maybe best closing this one and going back to the first 3. Now we're going straight back into where we left off at the end of the tutorial number 3, and that is into our ID3 file with the editor. And we'll see that there's the field that we made in tutorial number 3. What I'm going to do for you in this tutorial is to show you how to place buildings on the surface. I'm just going to do it in one building and then duplicate that so you can show you how to copy it, and the rest of the procedures is basically exactly the same. So we're going to import a building here alongside our field. So we go to File, Import. Now when you get into the import, what you need to do is navigate to the folder that we were on before. Now we've got it on our desktop, so we click on the desktop, My New Map, and all the things that you can import are in these files here. I keep moving the size of these folders. What we're interested in is under the models. You'll find most things that you want to import are in the models. Textures, you can't import them. You can import sounds, that's a bit more difficult. Shaders, I've not a clue what they are, leave that alone. New models is a folder that, well, it's empty at the moment, that one. Models is the one we want. Missions and map 01, you don't really need anything in there, just for the moment anyway. So models, double click on that, then you've got buildings, decals, which are just pictures, natural, which is hedges and ferns, stones, trees, things like that, and objects. Objects, there's rather a lot in there. There's quite a lot of objects come with the default. We'll go back one and click on buildings, and we'll click the corrugated shed one. When you eventually get to this symbol here, which is an ID3 file format, that's the only kind of object that you can import into the game. If you see other things, let's try and find some. I could go around looking for them and never find them, but no, I should have looked at that before. So a corrugated shed has to have that symbol, which is an i3d file format. So highlight it, click open. Now you'll see that the editor did something there, it all flashed and everything, but you can't see, unless you're really lucky, you can't see where it is. If you spin round, you'll see that there's the little gizmo where you can manipulate where it is, but it's probably below ground. If you take a spin down there, it's way down there. Now to get that to where we want it, it would take forever using these arrows, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, but there is a far quicker way. We want it to appear just here. So the shortcut to do that is to press Control and B, that's B for Bravo, and then let go, and then click with the left hand mouse button. Hold the button down and you can move it around where you want it, depending on where your mouse pointer is, depends on the height. So get it roughly where you want it and then let go of the mouse button. So there's our first hut installed into the game. Now we can alter a few things here. We can spin it round on the axis to make it face in a different direction, and these arrows here, if you put your mouse over them, you'll see that they become highlighted. Once they're highlighted, you've got control over that axis. So the red one will move it backwards and forwards. The blue one, which you can just see there, if I spin around a bit, you'll see it clearer. That'll move it left and right. And the green arrow will move it up and down. If you want to make a big change to the location of it, press Ctrl B again and hit the ground with the mouse button, and you can move it around. It's exactly the same procedure for importing other objects. Just do exactly the same thing, and then you have your objects on the screen. Now, coming over to this right hand side, the attributes, it's very rare that you would have to change anything in here at all. Very rare. I strongly recommend you don't mess around with too much of this. What you can do is set the height, for example, is the y-axis. If I move that up and down, and you'll see the y-axis will move as well. That's the height above the ground. So you can actually type in there the height that you want it at if you know what the height is. I've set it to 85, which is a little bit high, as you can see. So just as an example, 84.5, so that's half a meter less, and you see it's gone down a bit. The actual height it should be is 83, which is the height of the default map. The other coordinates are where it sits, as opposed to left and right. It's not quite rotated at a 90-degree angle, so we can change that to 90. So now it'll, if we move it left and right, it only moves along the X axis, which is the blue one. And you can set that, if you know what the value is, you can set that to exactly what you want, say 125.5, and it will snap to that coordinates. That's handy if you know you've got something 20 meters wide and you duplicate it. To put it alongside, it would be minus 105.5 or 104.5, depending on which side you're going to duplicate it on. As for the duplication, let's turn this around again. Incidentally, this is my own hut. I made this myself. It's not great, so, but it does for a tutorial. If you want to duplicate that, the easiest way to do that is hold down Control and D, Control and D, and then wait for the editor to come back to life, and then drag the new one off to the left or to the right, wherever you want to go, and that's it duplicated. So there's the two objects that we've imported into our map. What you can do now, of course, is make it a little bit more interesting using the system that we've already shown you, and that is to make it a bit more appealing. So we'll put a little bit of ground around it. For just an example, I'm doing this very quickly. Obviously you take a bit of time over this and do it quite nice and spin round. This just gives you an example of what's possible. Put some grass along the back there. Yeah, that looks alright. And then possibly we want a bit of grass coming alongside and growing around the back of it. In the corners where you would normally get grass growing where there's nothing driving on it. Things like that. And maybe that's quite close to a road, maybe an asphalt road out here. and so on. Then you can import trees and bushes and stuff, and obviously more buildings. Right, we've got the default long grass here. Just as a this can be a bit annoying, this stuff. It's all over the map because this map was the original default map, and these things are still lying around. To get rid of them, select the foliage layer. In the menu, select normal grass at the bottom. Now I'm just going to do normal grass, but it's the same with bushes, stones and short grass. So exactly the same procedure. If you've got this stuff on the map you don't want it, make sure your right hand mouse button's on sub, and then just click the right hand mouse button to get rid of that. But beware, you may get rid of grass, some of this grass that you maybe want, so you just have to be careful. That short grass there, there's no stones here, but no doubt there will be some somewhere. So if you want rid of that, that's how to do that. Okay, right, that's the tutorial on how to add buildings. Exactly the same on any other building that you want to import. Anything from a fence post to a huge thing like the port is all imported in exactly the same way, and it's all from within your files, which is in your map under models, objects, and of course buildings, all in here. Okay, on the next tutorial I'm going to show you how to save all this, get it in the game and have a little play around with it, and drive around in a tractor, because you have got default vehicles on this map, you just don't see them when you're in the editor. They'll be along here somewhere, they'll appear round about here next to our farm if you can call it a farm. Okay, so that's the next tutorial, and that'll be tutorial number 5. I'll also show you a little bit more of the advanced features that you can play around with in tutorial number 5. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching.